You're very welcome back to Nationwide. Over the last few weeks, many of us have found the confinement of staying at home stressful and difficult. However, I've come to Glencairn Abbey in County Waterford to meet a couple of women who have chosen to live in an enclosed community and who often spend much of their time in isolation. The Cistercian Nuns at St Mary's Abbey have been living a monastic life of prayer and solitude at Glencairn for many years. Sister Sara tells me about daily life here. The Cistercian sisters are here in Glencairn since 1932.
That's right, Anne.
Can you give me a little bit of a sense of the history of how the sisters arrived to be here?
The foundation was made, as you said, in 1932 by the nuns of Stape Hill in England with the help of the monks of Mount Melleray, which are just a half an hour from us here in Waterford. The property was actually sold in the 1920s by the previous owners and was on the market for some time before it was bought. The monks of Melleray discovered the property. One of the monks was out looking for stone to build their new church, and he was invited in by the caretaker. And as he walked around the building, he said, "Do you know this would make a great place for a monastery for nuns?" So there hadn't been a monastery of Cistercian nuns in Ireland since before the Reformation. So there was a great need of it. In Stape Hill in England, many Irish women were entering there and they were kind of bulging at the seams. So they had to find a place. So this was it in Glencairn.
The community is here since 1932. And how many do you comprise now? And maybe you could tell me a little bit about the daily life that you observe here.
Well, there's 27 of us here. 25 sisters are solemnly professed. They have vows here. And we have 2 novices who entered in autumn in 2018. A typical day. Well, the day starts really while it's still night. We get up at 10 to 4. Our first prayer time in the church is at 10 past 4. It's roughly an hour, and then we turn off all the lights and we meditate in the church together before we have our breakfast and do our spiritual reading and personal prayer. And then the day basically is structured around the Divine Office, which is the liturgy in the church, where the community gather 7 times a day. And then we have morning work and afternoon work, and we have meal times together as well.
In addition to prayer, how important is work?
Well, monastic life has always really valued manual labour. There's a simplicity to our life that enables a life of prayer. We have a farm here. Some of it we lease out to our neighbours. Some of it we use to grow. We grow a crop called miscanthus to heat the house. We have a flock of sheep. We're going to be busy lambing now in a few weeks. And we have a greeting card department. We design and print greeting cards. And we also make Eucharist bread. And then, of course, there's the myriad jobs that go on in the monastery to function as a community. We've got the abbess in her pastoral role, we've got the sister bursar, and we've got the sisters cooking, and we've got all the regular cleaning that goes on and teaching the novices, etc.
Like everywhere else, the community here is subjected to the same restrictions as the rest of it. So how are the community managing the requirements for social distancing?
Well, usually in a monastic setting there are choir stalls. The sisters sit together, quite close together really, in choir. So obviously we had to look at that as the situation got more serious in globally. So we started leaving a choir stall empty between us. We didn't all quite fit in the choir, so some people used mass places around the altar as well. But now we spread out 2 meters, so we're using the whole church. So we're managing to keep together because we sing all our liturgy. So trying to stay together with the help of the organ and the chantresses, etc. Well, we're getting there, and thank God, because it's really sustaining us. Sister
Mary, you're the abbess here at Glencairn, and the times we are in, In many respects, your life, living a monastic life of solitude, is chiming with the forced isolation that a lot of people have found themselves arising out of this pandemic.
Yes, of course there are parallels. We live, in a sense, in solitude, and in a sense we self-isolate in order to be available for prayer and building community and all of that. But it struck me the other day that in a time like this, when there is such a crisis, and you could say almost a time of tragedy, you know, so many deaths and so many people suffering, there's something in us, some instinct in us that wants to reach out and help even one person. And so it was that stimulated my desire to write something to help people, to let them know that maybe what we could offer, some wisdom from monastic life, from the monastic tradition, because we have a long history. And one of the areas I thought which might help people would be having a rhythm to the day, a structure and moderation and harmony and all of that.
You posted some practical tips and advice and thoughts and wisdom on Facebook.
Well, some of the ones I mentioned on Facebook, you know, doing something purposeful, creative, just doing things you wanted to do for so long and you never had time. Like reading, you know, some good book. And I think the main thing would be that, you know, this is all going to pass and everything will be okay. And we'll all go back to work and the children will go back to school. So this is a limited time. So, and I think in that way then we can relax and enjoy the time. You know, read the books, do what we would like to do, take walks, tidy up the house and clean the windows and all of that, because it's not going to go on forever. I think this is a new situation. People are always usually so busy going to work and caring for their families and being active and going for entertainment, and now all of a sudden they can't. So I think people did find it helpful, you know, that if they take the time and plan their day and then do as much as natural as possible. And that I think they did find it helpful. And also they felt very encouraged that a community would be praying for them. And we certainly are. There is intense prayer going on here for everyone. I think the important thing is that people stay positive and encouraged, and that they feel supported. And I think it's a great thing that so many people are reaching out to others. And that's what we need to do, to make sure that everybody is being carried along and able to cope with the situation.
And that brings us to the end of this Good Friday programme. All that remains for me to do is to wish you a very, very happy Easter. If the weather is fine, however, stay at home, stay indoors. Please respect the COVID-19 restrictions. And so, from all of us on the nationwide team, good evening.